Shalom. We are going to learn something for Yom HaShoah. Learning for Yom HaShoah is slightly different than learning for many other Chagim or other occasions. Definitely Yom HaShoah is not exactly a Chag. It's Yom HaZikaron. But when we speak about Zikaron, we don't just say we want to remember something, we want to understand the essence of it. Okay, always when we speak about Zikaron in Judaism, we're speaking about the essence of something, the meaning of something. We understand that God controls everything, that there's Shekhinah in the world. That means everything that's done in the world is done by God, including things like the Holocaust. Also, the Holocaust is something that God did. This creates a situation that sometimes, or the way the Rabbi puts it in one of his sichot about the Holocaust, about the Shoah, he starts off with the fact that in Yom Kippur we say, Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'timhon lev. What kind of sin is that, timhon lev? Timhon lev means you've got some kind of question. What's the problem in having a question? The whole Gemara is full of questions. The whole of Judaism is about questioning things. We just came out of Pesach. Pesach is about, it starts off with 4 questions. The whole time we question things. What's the problem about questioning things? It's the best thing. If you don't question things, where are you going to go? What's going to happen? But Rabbi says, no, we're speaking about something else. This isn't questioning. Timhon levav is more like criticizing. It's more like when a parent or a teacher sees a certain behavior a child had, and is very surprised that he doesn't understand. How could you act that way? What do you mean? Well, what's this kind of behavior? What are you doing? That's already a problem. Okay, that's a problem because if that's the way you look at God, that you're surprised at the way he behaves, that means you've got a certain understanding. You understand the way the world should run, the way God should run things. And here he acted in an irrational way that doesn't suit the way you understand things, and you've got a question about that. That's timhon levav. That's a problem. So on one hand, we understand that everything that God does, and especially things on the scale of the Holocaust, it means that God did it. It's got a meaning. It's got an essence. On the other hand, we don't always know what the essence is, what the meaning is. And we need to balance our feelings between these two sides, between these two things. On one hand, understanding this, God did this, and he did it deliberately, and there's a meaning behind it. On the other hand, the fact that we don't know exactly why it happened and why things couldn't have happened in other ways, why it had to happen in a way like this. But we do understand God did it. And we need to try and understand as much as we can. We need to try and see different explanations, different aspects of what's going on around here, in order to be able to better understand what this is all about. To that end, I would like to learn now Perek Kaf in Sefer Yechezkel. Perek Kaf in Sefer Yechezkel. Sefer Yechezkel in general is a book that speaks a lot about the days of exile. Okay, already Yechezkel, a lot of his prophecies happen in exile. Yad Dvar Hashem al Yechezkel ben Buzi. Because he was already a prophet in Jerusalem, he continues to have prophecies outside of Israel, in exile. And a lot of it speak about the exile, about the end of the exile, different aspects of it. We'll see Perek Kaf. Let's learn Perek Kaf. Let's see. I think it will get some kind of direction of thought towards certain aspects that are related with the Holocaust. Definitely not a full explanation of everything. Definitely not this is what it's about or anything like that. But let's see what happens here. Let's learn. We're going to learn Perek Kaf, and whatever we gain out of it, we gain out of it. Okay, let's see. Starts off like this, ויהי בשנה השביעית, שנה שביעית, 70th year to Galut Yehoyachin. Galut Yehoyachin is the first exile. The Babylonians, when they came to destroy Am Yisrael and Bet HaMikdash in First Temple, it came in 2 phases. First they came, they conquered Israel. Okay, that's the 2nd year of Koresh. Then they exiled the leadership, Galut Yehoyachin. Political leadership, spiritual leadership. We know that Mordechai Yehudi was part of that exile, and all of the technological, the Charash and Masger, anyone who could produce anything. So there's no one who can do really can lead any kind of process in Eretz Israel. And 11 years later, Galut Tzidkiyahu comes together with the destruction of Bet HaMikdash. Galut Tzidkiyahu. So here we're speaking about the 7th year to Galut Yehoyachin, 4 years before the destruction, and the date is בחמישי בעשור לחודש, חמישי לעשור לחודש, חמישי is חודש אב, עשור לחודש, 10th of אב, מחלוקת exactly when did the destruction happen, on the 9th, on the 10th, okay, but this prophecy is happening 4 years before the destruction on the days of either the actual destruction or of the main part of the burning of בית המקדש. Okay, באו אנשים מזקני ישראל לדרוש את אדוני וישבו לפניי. לדרוש את אדוני. Okay, so לדרוש את אדוני, that sounds very positive, very good. They demand in God, they want God. מצודות דוד says, להתפלל, they want to pray. But Rashi says, but what do these guys want to pray? What's their prayer about? Rashi says, על צורכיהם, they want to pray for their needs. Why are they praying for their needs? Typically, people normally pray for their needs. It depends what it means when you pray for your needs. Yeah, it says, Rashi said like this, ואם אינו שומע לנו, and if he doesn't listen, doesn't give us what we're asking for, גם אנו לא נענש על עבירות שבידינו. We also won't be punished for sins that we have. Why? שהרי כבר מכרנו ואין לו עלינו כלום. Because he's already sold us, we're already exiled, although there's still בית המקדש in Jerusalem, but they already see that that's not going anywhere. There's no hope there. Nothing's going to come out of that. We already know the prophecies prior to this, that there's definitely going to be a destruction. It says God sold us, or, עבד שמכרו רבו ואישה שגרשה בעלה. It's like a slave that his master sold him, or a wife that was divorced by her husband. כלום יש לזה על זה כלום. You don't have any demands anymore. So if he doesn't take care of us, then we also don't owe him anything. That's the atmosphere these people have. Okay, Rashi says, בסוף העניין אתה לומד מתשובה שישיבם. מתשובה שישיבם. We see that from later on in the chapter, where God says, ועולה על רוחכם. What? Do you think this can happen? No, I'm going to control you. Okay, that's later on. Let's leave that, okay? So that's the beginning. So these people come. They've got some kind of complaint, some kind of demand, and comes a response. וידבר אדוני אליי לאמור. Starts off, בן אדם, דבר אל זקני ישראל, speak to the elderly people of Israel, ואמרת עליהם, tell them, כה אמר אדוני אלוהים, לדרוש אותי אתם באים? Are you coming to ask things from me? חי אני מדרש לכם נאום השם. What do you think I'm going to respond to you? I'm going to give you back the way you want me to give you back things. And okay, still the introduction to the chapter, פסוק ד', התשפוט אותם, התשפוט בן אדם. Judge them את תועבות אבותם הודיעם. Remind them the history. Remind them what's happened through the history. And now we get a rundown of Jewish history from a very, very, I'd say, negative aspect of it. It's you know, you read it, you want to kind of want to be as small as you can and unnoticed, because it's all very, very negative. Starting off from Egypt, yeah, they were. I'm not going to read all of the psukim here, but there's a certain kind of pattern here. Okay, it says, okay, I chose them in Egypt. I wanted to take them out of Egypt. I told them, leave all of the idols there, but they didn't leave their idols. Okay, pasuk chet, vayamru bi, velo avu lishmo alai. They don't want to listen to me. That's already in Egypt. The end of pasuk chet, v'omar lishpo chamati aleim, and I want to pour all of my temper out of them, lechalot api bam, to bring an end to my anger in them, betoch eretz Mitzrayim, in Egypt. But pasuk tet, va'as leman shmi leviti hachel le'enei hagoim. But for the sake of my name, of God, I didn't do that. I didn't want to I didn't want the goyim to see the way I do that. Okay, pasuk yud, v'otzi'em eretz Mitzrayim ve'vi'em el hamidbar. So I took them out of Egypt and brought them to the desert. And then in the Egypt I gave them חוקים ומשפטים, את חוקותיי ואת משפטי הודעתי אותם. I gave them all different things. I gave them Shabbat. And פסוק י"ג, בחוקותיי לא הלכו ואת משפטיי מעשו, אשר יעשה אותם האדם וחי בהם, ואת שבתותיי חיללו. And they don't all חילול Shabbat. They don't listen to any of the laws. And again, ואומר לשפוך חמתי עליהם. Again, God wants to take his anger out on them. במדבר, now it's in the desert. Earlier it was in Egypt, now it's in the desert. And again, פסוק י"ד, like in פסוק ט', ועשה למען שמי לבלתי החל לעיני הגויים. But again, I don't want to do this in front of the goyim. I don't want to do that. Okay, and that's why פסוק ט"ו, וגם אני נשאתי ידי עליהם במדבר. So I took care of them in Egypt. but so on one hand I took care of them, but לבלתי אביא אותם אל הארץ אשר נתתי. זבת חלב ודבש צבי היא לכל הארצות. But these people are took out of Egypt, and they didn't listen to what I'm saying. I didn't bring them to Israel. Okay, we know that the generation that left Egypt died in the desert, and only the next generation came into Israel. Okay, so it's referring to that. Okay, and explaining, okay, again, Pasuk Tet explaining, because they don't follow God's rules, they don't keep Shabbat. Okay, and again, God tells their children in the desert, don't follow in the footsteps of your fathers, but it doesn't help. And Pasuk Kaf Aleph, Vayamru bi abanim, also the children, they don't listen to me. בחוקותיי לא הלכו ואת משפטיי לא שמרו לעשות אותם אשר יעשה אותם אדם וחי בהם ואת שבתותיי חיללו. Okay, and again, ואומר לשפוך חמתי עליהם לכלות אפי בם במדבר. So again, in the desert, I want to kill this next generation. I want to take care of them. But והשיבותי את ידי, I held my hand back. ואעש למען שמי לבלתי אחל לעיני הגויים אשר הוצאתי אותם לעיניהם. But I don't want to disrespect my name in the eyes of the goyim who saw me take them out of Egypt. So again, I let them out. גם אני נשאתי את ידי להם במדבר, להפיץ אותם בגויים ולזרות אותם בארצות. Okay, and I said, yeah, no, I'll send them out of exile already in the desert. I'm saying I'm going to send them out of exile. Okay, Pasuk Kaf Daled, just like Pasuk Tet Zayin earlier. Okay, Yan mishpatai lo asu v'chukotai ma asu. Okay, because they're not following my ways. Okay, and then and so after all of these, this rundown of Jewish history, a very negative rundown of Jewish history, so it starts from Pasuk of Zayin, starts another stage. לכן דבר אל בני ישראל בן אדם. Now speak to them. אמרת עליהם כה אמר השם. עוד זאת גידפו אותי אבותיכם במעלם במעל. Your fathers, they kind of cursed me, the way they respected me. But nevertheless, ואביהם אל הארץ אשר נשאתי את ידי לתת אותה להם. But anyway, although they didn't deserve it, I brought them to the land of Israel. And what did they do? ויראו כל גבעה רמה וכל עץ זבות. And anywhere they found, they did עבודה זרה שם. וישימו שם ריח ניחוחיהם, ויסירו שם את נצחיהם. ואמר להם, מה הבמה אשר אתם באים שמה? ויקרא שמה במה עד היום הזה. Okay, idol worship throughout Israel, the whole time, everywhere, everything's full of idol worship. Okay, פסוק למד, לכן אמור אל בני ישראל, כה אמר אדוני, הבדרך אבותיכם אתם נטמעים? You want to follow in your father's footsteps, like in the negative ways. ואחרי שקוציהם אתם זונים, and after the idols that they went, you're going to continue being swayed behind them. כן, the end of פסוק למד א', ואני אדרש לכם בית ישראל לחי אני נאום אדוני אלוהים אם ידרש לכם. And you want me now to answer your needs, to take care of what you guys are asking for? ועולה על רוחכם, היו לא תהיה, אשר אתם אומרים, נהיה כגויים, כמשפחות הארץ, לשרת עץ ואבן. Okay, and what you want, העולה על רוחכם, היו לא תהיה, that won't happen. What do you want? אשר אתם אומרים, נהיה כמשפחות הארצות. Let's be like all of the rest of humanity. לשרת עץ ואבן. לשרת עץ ואבן, you could say in two ways. You could say עץ ואבן, idols made out of wood, idols made out of stone. Heard from Yossi Rodriguez. He said, שרת עץ ואבן, that's already speaking about modern times. You've got people that follow wooden crosses in the streets of Jerusalem, and you've got people who circle stones. Okay, so you've got Christianity, you've got Islam. Okay, we also want to be like one of the big three religions, monotheistic. I don't know how to say that in English. The tot monotheistiyot. Okay, all believe in one God, and that doesn't have to be according to nations. It's the whole of humanity. Okay, we want to be kimishpachot ha'aratzot. We want to be our family. Is like everyone else. We're part of humanity. We're part of the global village. We're part of everyone. Everyone's together. We've got our religion. They've got their religion. We all believe in God. We practice in different ways. Okay, we want to be that way. God says about that, that won't be. Okay, pasuk lamed gimel chai ani. Okay, God says, real life, true life is neum Adonai Elohim. אם לא ביד חזקה ובזרוע נטויה ובחמה שפוכה, okay, this all sounds very familiar, it's nearly a quote from the Agada, but then it ends off, emloch aleichem. The way God is going to govern over us is going to be ביד חזקה ובזרוע נטויה ובחמה שפוכה, with a lot of power and anger and determination. Wow, what does that mean? That means he's going to lead us through things, he's going to force us into things the way the exit from Egypt was, 10 plagues, splitting of the sea, that's Yad Chazaka V'Zron Tuya that we normally speak about here. So now it says that kind of, these kinds of actions are going to be against the Jews. Okay, V'otzeti etchem min ha'amim, I'll take you out of the nations. V'kibatzti etchem min ha'aratzot asher nifutztem ban, and I'll gather you from the countries that you've been scattered in them. Biyad chazaka, again, same, just like in the previous pasuk. Biyad chazaka, uvazron tuya uvechem shfucha. How is God going to take us out of the nations? How is He going to gather us? This is horrific. Okay, biyad chazaka, uvazron tuya uvechem shfucha. And okay, so He's going to take us out. Where's He going to take us? Ve'eveti etchem, pasuk lamed hey, ve'eveti etchem, and I'll bring you El midbar ha'amim, the desert of the nations. V'nishpatati itchem sham panim el panim. What is this concept of midbar ha'amim? So the Mefarshim go in a few different ways. They explain the Malbim, but there's a commentary of the Ra'avad that I didn't see it in the actual Ra'avad, but the Tosfot Yom Tov brings it in on the Mishnah, Masechet Eduyot, Perek Bet Mishnah Tet, and then they explains that the same as in Yetziat Mitzrayim, there's a generation that has to come out of exile, but it's not the same generation that comes into Israel. The same way in the exiles later on, they will be coming out of the nations, and only later on, kind of next generation coming into Eretz Israel. Again, there has to be some place that's going to be parallel to Midbar Mitzrayim. It says in Egypt it was one desert. Okay, it could have been one desert. Okay, that the Malbim says. It says in Yetziat Mitzrayim there was one desert because everyone was in Egypt, so it's one desert over there. It says when we come out of the nations, there will be each country, each region will have its own desert. What will happen in those deserts? He says, okay, the Malbim says, Yamlitz aratzot ha'amim kamidbar. Says he's referring to the countries of the other nations as a desert. She'eno motzeh sham tzrachav, that a person can't fulfill his needs over there. Ve'adam sham chasar kol, and a person has absolutely nothing there. Ken yeh eretz ha'amim lachem kamidbar. In the same way, the countries of the Goyim will be like a desert for you. Sham tiyu rechokim min ha'yeshuv, you'll be far away from where people live. Nivdalem mibnei adam yoshvei harim, you'll be separated from anyone who lives in the cities, in the inhabited areas over there. It will be like a desert, no man's land. There'll be a lot of people, there are a lot of Jews there, but it will be no man's land. There won't be anyone there who could call him an Adam, a human. Okay, these are, I don't know what the Malbim was exactly referring at, what he thought of when he wrote it, but it's anyway, so we've got this thing that God gathers us, so with a lot of anger and might, Yad Chazaka, V'Zron Tuya, V'chima Shfucha, He gathers us to Midbar Ha'amim, V'nishpateti itchem sham panim el panim, and there will be a judgment with us. Okay, Mitzudot David says, Sham etvakeach imachem panim el panim, le'odia sirchonchem, there I will argue with you to tell you how wrong you are. Although the Malbim says, Sham takiru shehem onshei hashgacha. There in those places you will see that the punishments that happen to you, those are punishments by God. Okay, it's like in Chumash Dvarim, Perek Lamed, the Parashat HaTshuvah, it's straight after the Bracha and the Klala of Kitavot. So then after we finish the Bracha and the Klala, so then the next stage is, because everything happens, there's all the terrible things that you read about over there. And then after all of that happens, so that says, והיה, פרק ל', פרשת דברים, והיה כי יבואו עליך כל הדברים האלה, ברכה והקללה, אשר נתתי לפניך, when all of these things happen to you, והשבות האלה לבביך בכל הגויים אשר ידיך אדוני אלוהיך שם, then you'll take it to heart. Then you'll realize that everything that happened to you, it's because God made it happen. It didn't just happen to you. It happened to you because God made it happen. And then, ושפטת אדוני אלוהיך ושמעת בקולו, okay, that's פרשת התשובה. פרק ל' דברים, also very important. You need to read it in the context of the קללה beforehand, which is terrible stages there, of course, and bad things happening one after each other, where the way it features in Vayikra, in Telchui Mikeri, that you could say, no, it's a coincidence, different political occurrences led to things, and God says, no, that's all. That's Ashgacha. That's all Ashgacha. Okay, also here, okay, ונשפטתי, פסוק ל"ו, כאשר נשפטתי את אבותיכם במדבר ארץ מצרים, כן נשפט אתכם, נאום אדוני אלוהים. The same way as I dealt with the avot in the desert in Egypt, and we know the whole of Parashat Bamidbar, every time we go wrong, the different punishments. The same thing will happen again in this place, which is Midbar Ha'amim. והעברתי, פסוק ל"ז, והעברתי אתכם תחת השבת, okay, I'll take you underneath the cane, והבאתי אתכם במוסרות הברית, and I'll bring you in מוסרות הברית. מוסרות הברית, the Metzudot explains Moserot is it's the same as when the Mosera is what they tie the oxes or the mules, whatever it is, to the carriage or to the plow. Those are the Moserot. Okay, Pitachta le Mosera, we say in Hallel, just phrase. Like, yeah, we say, no, God says, I'll tie you in through the Brit and you won't come out of it again. Okay, the first time you won't sin again. That's why you won't come out again. But it's okay, you'll be inside the covenant. You won't have this feeling like you've got at the beginning of our chapter of, no, maybe it's come to an end. No, you'll be in and you'll understand that the way it's going to be. That's the way it is. That's the relationship between us and God. There's a brit, there's a covenant there. You can't escape. What you need to do is follow the brit. Okay, now speaking back to the people in that generation coming, פסוק ל"ד, ואתם בית ישראל, כה אמר אדוני אלוהים, איש גילוליו לכו ועבדו, go do your idol worship. ואחר, אם אינכם שומעים אליי, if you don't listen to me, ואת שם קודשי, לא תחללו עוד במותניכם ובגילולכם, and you won't be able to disgrace me again. Okay, this pasuk seems to be contradicting itself. But where does it develop to? פסוק מ', כי בהר קודשי, בהר מרום ישראל, נאום אדוני אלוהים. שם יעבדוני כל בית ישראל כולה בארץ. Okay, בהר קודשי, in Jerusalem, בית המקדש. That's where you'll worship me. In the land, שם ארצם, that's where I'll want you. ושם אדרוש את תרומותיכם ואת ראשית מעשותיכם וכל קודשכם. And there I will respond to all of the things that you want to respond to. בריח ניחוח ארצה אתכם, בהוציאי אתכם מן העמים. I'll want you, I want to take you out of the nations. וקיבצתי אתכם מן הארצות אשר נפוצתם שם, ונקדשתי בכם לעיני הגויים. וידעתם כי אני אדוני בהביאי אתכם אל אדמת ישראל, אל הארץ אשר נשאתי את ידי לתת אותה לאבותיכם. And then I'll bring you to the land. So the two stages. There's a stage of gathering us from the nations into this desert. And in this, and over there's some kind of mishpat. God shows us what we've done wrong and what the price for that is. And then the next stage is coming to Eretz Israel. וזכרתם שם, and then when you come to Israel, וזכרתם שם את דרככם ואת כל עלילותיכם אשר נטמאתם בם. ונקוטטם בפניכם בכל רעותיכם אשר עשיתם. Okay, and then you'll remember everything you did and all the punishments you have. וידעתם כי אני אדוני, and you'll know that I'm God, בעשותי איתכם למען שמי, when I do with you, for your sake, for my sake, למען שמי. לא כדרככם הרעים, כלותכם הנשחטות, בית ישראל נאום אדוני אלוהים. Okay, not the way you're responding now, these people come in and say, no, it's all coming to an end. But God will lead us to where we should be led and bring us to Eretz Israel for God's sake. Just the way we say in the Amida every day. ומביא גואל לבני בניהם. And he brings a redeemer to their sons. למען שמו באהבה. For the sake of his name. Okay, that's our insurance policy. That's the way we know that eventually things will be okay, that eventually God will take us out of everything, is because it's all done for God's sake. But what we see here in the Mefarshim, here in Rashi, in Metzudot, in the Ravad, and in the Mishnah, that there are these two stages: the stage of coming out of the nations, which is done b'zron tuya, b'yad chazako, b'zron tuya, v'chema shfucha, and then a second stage, another generation that actually comes and enters Eretz Yisrael. Be'ezrat Hashem, may we be worthy of getting all of the brachot, because not only for God's sake, but also because we're worthy of receiving them, and we act properly, and we understand, and manage to follow and to live according to the standard we should be living. Be'ezrat Hashem, Shana Tova.